What's up, guys? We are back with Saturday NFL football action here in Week 18. We've got two games today. I'm going to break down the injury reports, look at player props, and find the best value on the side and over-under for both games. Guys, we finally had a losing day there on NBA. We ended up going 1-2 on the night. Toronto plus 1.5. They looked terrible there despite, Jalen Suggs going down there for the Magic. The Rockets at plus 3. A total choke job by them. They ended up losing that game 109-86. Just did not show up. We did have the Cleveland Cavaliers there. They came through for us, a 134-122 win. So we'll take that. But yeah, 1-2 on the night. Not ideal. On the premium side, though, we actually had a very nice night out there. 5-2 overall. A very good day. You can see the games that we had up over there. College football hit there with Minnesota -9. A win there in, at least one NHL game. A good day there in terms of, college basketball as well. Hitting Merrimack -7.5, the St. Louis Billikens -2.5, and that big win on our free pick on Michigan State. So we'll definitely take that, guys. A good night over at stumpthespread.com. You got to get over there and check things out. That's where our best plays every single day go. So definitely click the link in the description. Head over there. You can see we've got, free picks. We've also got, premium picks if you're looking to sign up for something a little bit more serious. We've also got a free email list where you can, stay up to date on our results and get the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox. Before we dive into the picks for today, guys, smash that like button. It's good luck and show support for the channel and all the hard work we're putting in every single day. Obviously, subscribe over there if you're new. A lot of you are new to this secondary channel. We'll be back on the main channel for a Sunday video, or at least that's the hope. So we'll see if that happens, guys. But definitely, like I said, get over to Stump the Spread and check things out over there. And please comment below with any bets you're looking today. I'll give you my best advice on all of them. I'm committed to responding to every single comment every day. So get in there and I will be more than happy to answer you. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the Cleveland Browns taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Guys, it's looking like possibly a bloodbath out there with the Ravens being huge favorites, but we'll see what happens, guys. Big crazy news there for the Browns is that they're going to be starting Zappy for this game. They got destroyed by Miami last week. They've been dealing with some injuries there at quarterback, so definitely going to be a different style, a different type of situation here for the Browns at quarterback. Not what we were seeing last week from Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Is going to be a completely different situation. We'll see if Donta Freeman, if he gets, much work, if the running game really gets much work for Cleveland there. It's just been pretty brutal out there. I mean, Jerry Jeudy had a massive day last week, caught 12 balls for 94 yards, but was targeted 18 times. And yeah, things were getting kind of repetitive and very bleak there for Cleveland as they got destroyed despite playing in cold weather there against the Miami Dolphins. So yeah, just it's a tough time right now to be the Browns, guys. They're locked into the third pick as long as they lose. They're basically guaranteed a top 5 pick. So really very little to no incentive for this team to be trying to win at all right now. So we'll see what they can do. I mean, they weren't very good on defense last week either. Couldn't slow down Tyler Huntley and the Miami attack, guys. They gave up 20 points against the Dolphins, and over the course of the season, this has been a shadow of the defense that was so good last year. They're giving up 25 points per game, definitely in the bottom third of the NFL. So not loving what we're seeing from the Browns. They come into this game relatively healthy there on offense, with the obvious exception of their quarterback situation. Michael Woods II is questionable for this game, but when you're missing your third string wide receiver, and you're starting a I don't even know what to say, third, fourth, fifth string quarterback, that's probably not the biggest deal. On defense, they are super banged up, guys, missing, guys on the defensive line, linebackers, missing a couple guys in the secondary. Like, things are looking terrible right now for Cleveland. So there's a reason they're such massive underdogs as they go on the road to take on the Ravens, who are 11-5 on the season. They destroyed Houston last week. They've got to win this game to win the AFC North, and they are going to be locked in on doing that. You better believe it, guys. Yeah, they've won their last 2 games in a row, including a win over the Steelers. In their win last week against the Texans, Lamar Jackson looked amazing. 2 passing touchdowns for him. Also a rushing touchdown and 87 yards on the ground. Derrick Henry was on one, guys. 147 rushing yards and a touchdown on 27 carries. Not too much going on in the passing game, which is a little bit weird. We'll see if that turns around in this one, but really just a dominant day out there from Baltimore on both sides of the ball. They kept, C.J. Stroud well in check in that game. Didn't let Joe Mixon get going. I mean, they only gave up 2 points in the game, like a safety. That's it. Like, just wild stuff there from the Baltimore Ravens. They were completely dominant in this game. They are not looking like a team that's looking to mess around here at the end of the season. They come into this one relatively healthy as well. On both sides of the ball, the defense is fully healthy, which borderline a cheat code at this point in the season to have a healthy defense, and we only see one offensive lineman there on the injury report. We don't have a ton of clarity on whether or not he's going to play, but I do think we're, very likely to see at least, very, very close to the full strength Baltimore Ravens here, and they're playing at home, so that helps as well. In terms of the weather for this game, it's a little bit cold out there, guys. It's going to be in the 30s, the low 30s, so not ideal necessarily, but not a problem for either one of these teams. They're used to these kind of conditions. We're never around 17-mile-per-hour winds, so not quite enough to make us really, really worried. Kicking could be a little bit weird, especially with being so cold and windy, so maybe a little bit of a worry there about the kickers, but other than that, I don't think the weather's going to have too big of an impact on this game. In terms of some trends for this one, guys, Cleveland's only 4-12 against the spread this season. They are 10-6 to the under. Baltimore 9-6-1 against the spread. They are 12-4 to the over. One of the best over teams in the NFL this season. We've got the Ravens at minus 19.5, guys. Crazy number. We've got a total of 41. It feels like a spot we should be thinking about taking Cleveland since they're getting so many points, but even at this astronomical number, guys, I am just unable to back the Cleveland Browns. So I guess by default, give me a slight lean here towards Baltimore. I think they're going to put up tons of points. I don't trust Bailey Zappi to do anything impressive out there. I just don't think he's got what it takes to be an NFL quarterback. No one else has really thought that would be the case for him either. So yeah, not looking great. I think we'll see Baltimore come out and really, really put it on here against Cleveland. So give me the Ravens as a slight lean, but my favorite bet on this game is not the side. It's the over-under here. I definitely like the over in this game. The weather isn't exactly ideal for an over, like I was saying, but we've got a very low total out there. Baltimore is incentivized to put up an insane amount of points, then, maybe rest the starters at the end of the game. I think we see enough points here to make this over the much better play in this game. If Cleveland can chip in a touchdown, that might be all it takes for, this to get over that very, very small number. So definitely give me a look at the over in this one. And now let's jump over to some player props. And first up, guys, even though it's kind of slim pickings on these player props, I like Judy here over 5.5 receptions a little bit. It's plus 107. He had 12 receptions last week against Miami. He's getting an insane number of targets, and Cleveland's going to have to throw it. They're going to be way down, so maybe he gets to those 6 catches. But with Zappi out there, I don't blame you for being worried about that one. I also think Flowers probably not going to get a ton of work in this game. They need their best wide receiver to be healthy heading into the playoffs. No reason to be, just putting him at risk here in a game that they're very likely to win in a blowout. He only had 2 catches last week. It feels like Baltimore doesn't really want to throw the ball in this matchup, so I'm taking him under 4.5 receptions at minus 110. I think there's some value to be had there. I also like Andrews here over 2.5 receptions at minus 175. Obviously a terrible price. It looks very close to a lock in this matchup, though. The last game against Cleveland, he caught all 5 of his targets, and I think they're going to get the ball. They got to throw it a little bit to someone. I think he's going to be the main, pass catcher here in this game. And yeah, getting to 3 receptions does not feel like a very big stretch. Last but not least, guys, I like Moore here, under 2.5 receptions at plus 130. He only caught 1 out of 5 targets last week, and now with Zappi under center, why would that number get better? He's had 2 or less receptions the last 3 weeks in a row. This might be my favorite prop of this game. Like I said, it was pretty slim pickings, guys, so we're going to go ahead and hop over to the next one. I promise better props and a lean on the side. Real quick, in between games, guys, a reminder, head over to Stump the Spread, check things out over there. There's a link down in the description. Also, take a second, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel if you're new over here on the secondary channel. And another reminder, we're going to be back on the main channel, but don't worry, I'll have something over here for you guys on Sunday as well. Now, let's dive into the Cincinnati Bengals. They're going on the road in this one to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers in a game that could be very, very interesting or very, very boring depending on the outcome of that first game. So yeah, a little bit unfortunate there. We might see a kind of boring game if we do eventually see, Baltimore take care of business there in, the first game of the day. The Steelers will be a little bit less incentivized, but not completely decentivized. So don't worry, we'll talk about that here in a second. First, we're going to look at the Cincinnati Bengals, though. They're coming off that big win against Denver. The Bengals have won 4 straight. They're looking great right now. They could win and end up still missing the playoffs, but they have to win to keep themselves in it. I think that's all that really matters in this matchup. I'm not going to go into all the convoluted ways Cincinnati could make or miss the playoffs, but they have to win this game. I think they're going to be locked in and trying their very, very best to do that and put themselves in a position to make the playoffs. Last week, that 30-24 overtime win there against the Broncos. Cincinnati, man, they can't play any defense, but my goodness, is Joe Burrow having himself a season. 412 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. He was sacked 7 times, which is definitely a concern in this matchup, don't get me wrong. Chase Brown, only 67 yards on 20 carries, only 3.4 yards per carry in that game. So he's due for a little bit of a bounce back, but we do see him on the injury report. So we'll be talking about that as well. We saw Higgins and Jamar Chase both crack that 100-yard receiving, number, and Gesicki also had a massive day. So this offense just absolutely humming along. So we'll see if they can keep things rolling here. That would be, pretty much an imperative given their defense is so bad. They gave up 3 passing touchdowns last week, gave up a good amount to the run. So yeah, it's a big concern. It's not like they had a ton of fun the last time they faced the Steelers either. So definitely lots of room for concern here about this defense. In terms of the injury report, we see Chase Brown on there. He's technically questionable for this game. He's dealing with an ankle issue. I think he's probably closer to probable. I don't think he's going to be sitting this game out. It was apparently a mild right high ankle sprain, in that game against Denver. He didn't practice, in week 18, but I don't think that's a huge problem. There's a chance he'll play in this game. I'm not going to be putting him in any sort of player props or anything like that because there's a chance that he doesn't end up suiting up for this one. So keep a close eye on that. Definitely somebody that matters here. I don't know. I mean, Herbert might be okay to back him up, but we'll see what goes on there. I don't know if it's an imperative that they have a running back, though, with these 2 wide receivers, although we are worried that T. Higgins could end up, being, he's going to play, but he might not be at full strength for this game, dealing with that ankle/knee issue. He's expected to be available. I think he'll be fairly effective in this game, so we'll see what goes on there, but he's coming off a monster performance, obviously. 11 of 12, caught 11 out of his 12 targets, 3 touchdowns and 131 yards last week, so I don't think we're going to see him, not play. I think he's going to be out there. I think he's going to be okay. The Bengals defense comes into this game, going to be missing at least 1 starter there on the defensive line. We've got Cam Taylor-Britt questionable there at cornerback, but overall, this is just a bad defense. It doesn't really matter if they're healthy or not. They don't have a crazy amount of talent out there. That is a big concern. Don't get me wrong. So, yeah, not a good defense there for Cincinnati, but we'll see what they can do here going on the road to take on the Steelers in a must-win game. The Steelers come into this one 10-6 on the season. They've now lost 3 in a row. Losses to the Eagles, Ravens, and Chiefs. You get a little bit of slack there, but you would have, as a Steelers fan, you would have certainly hoped they could have kept one of these games at least to 1 score, but that didn't happen either. So certainly room for concern there. They did beat the Bengals the last time they played, 44-38, but they were playing a lot better then. So definitely plenty of room here for concern about the Steelers. I mean, in that loss against the Chiefs, we saw Russell Wilson continue to not look great. 205 passing yards, sacked 5 times, picked off once. Najee Harris and Jalen Warren both put up very good numbers, though, so that's a little bit comforting. Russell Wilson actually ran the ball very successfully and, looked like he was, not going to say comfortable doing, but willing to do it at least. He had 55 yards and a rushing touchdown, so not too bad there. But, yeah, George Pickens not having an amazing day, caught only 3 of 7 targets, so yeah, I don't know. The Steelers didn't look amazing, albeit against a very good Chiefs defense. So we'll see if they bounce back a little bit in this one. Their defense also looked bad, though. They couldn't stop the passing attack of Mahomes. Not something that's been, super potent this season. They didn't do too bad against the running game, but man, could not stop the pass there against the Chiefs, and that's obviously a huge concern when you're going up against the Bengals. The Steelers come into this game very healthy there on offense. They might end up resting guys if they do see that, the Browns, lose that game, that the Ravens win, and, they're a little bit decentivized. They're also pretty healthy there on defense, but the thing is, guys, if Baltimore wins, the Steelers probably won't end up resting guys because they could theoretically move down further than just, a little bit there. They could end up, getting a much worse matchup there in the opening round of the playoffs if they do end up losing this game, regardless of what happens there in the Ravens game. So I do think we're very likely to see a full effort game there from the Steelers. The weather in this game might make giving that full effort a little bit tough. It's going to be around 22 degrees, so very cold out there. Both teams are used to this kind of weather, so I'm not freaking out about it. No consistent wind is expected in this game, but there are gusts possibly up to 20 miles per hour. So some fluky things could happen out there, even in the passing game, like a 20 mile per hour gust when you're trying to get the ball out down the field and you didn't know it was coming could be a little bit weird, but we'll see what happens there in terms of the trends for this game. Cincinnati 10-6 against the spread. They're 11-5 to the over this season. Pittsburgh 10-6 against the spread as well. They are 8-8 against the over/under this year. Guys, I'm taking Cincinnati in this one for sure. I've hated what I'm seeing from Russell Wilson lately, and while this is normally a spot we'd want to be on a Mike Tomlin-led team and a bounce-back spot as an underdog, especially playing at home, I'm not going to be backing the by far worst quarterback in this matchup. Give me Joe Burrow here in a high-pressure game. I think they can win it by at least a field goal here. I think they find a way to get it done. Who knows how this is going to happen? We can end up in overtime. We can end up in any kind of craziness. If this was 3.5, I would have to take the Steelers, but it's 2.5. Go ahead and give me the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm on Joe Burrow to get the job done in this one. In terms of the over-under, I'm leaning a little bit towards the over in this spot. The Bengals defense is so bad, but really this isn't an over-under spot that I'm in love with. Obviously, the last time these two teams played, we saw an ungodly amount of offense, so maybe the over is the play in this one, and I'm just missing it. So I wouldn't blame anybody for being on that over, but I think the spot you want to be in on this one, and it's going to be an exciting game to bet on, guys, would be taking the Cincinnati Bengals. So now let's go ahead and jump into some player props for this game. First up, guys, I'm going to be on Jamar Chase here. I know this is a little bit chalky, but over 89.5 receiving yards at -135. He's been over that number in 4 straight weeks. He was only 4 yards short the last time against the Steelers. I think we see him get to that number in this game. I think that's a pretty reasonable spot, but even better than that one, guys, I like Mike Gesicki here over 29.5 receiving yards. This number just way too low. It's at -120, so not a bad price. He had 12 targets last week, caught 10 of them, and had 86 yards. He's only going to need to catch like 3 or 4 balls maybe to get to 30 yards in this matchup. I think we see him do that the vast majority of the time. I also think Calvin Austin III over 29.5 receiving yards at -125. Not a bad look at all. He's been over that number 3 weeks in a row. He's getting 5 targets per game pretty comfortably. The Bengals defense is not good. I think this is a spot he could easily get his yards. I also think Russell Wilson could possibly get his yards here, guys. Over 224.5 passing yards at -130. He had over 400 passing yards last time against Cincinnati. I know I'm not a huge Russell Wilson fan, but I think this is a spot he should be able to get his yards pretty comfortably. And last but not least, guys, I think this is a fantastic spot for Najee Harris. Over 44.5 rushing yards at -120. He had 75 yards versus Cincinnati last time and 74 yards last week. They're not going to go away from him. They're going to want to control the pace of play. The only concern could maybe be, but they're not resting starters, guys. I don't believe it. I don't think Mike Tomlin's going to be doing it. I don't think that's what's going to be happening here. Give me Najee Harris here over 44.5 rushing yards. That's a play that's going in the pinned comment. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com. We'll have some free NBA picks over there for all of you NBA enjoyers. And we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.